Diddy really screwed up, and I'm not referring to his criminal trial, which has him sitting in prison right now, but it has to do with something that happened right before he got arrested. If you've seen the Netflix documentary about Diddy, The Reckoning, which 50 Cent produced, there's some footage there that had never been seen before. This is a photographer that Diddy hired to follow him around and document his life. That footage ended up going to 50 Cent.
And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died.
So this one night, 50 called me up, and they got him on the phone, man. He was just talking. We was talking about old time shit, sit down with Black Hands, sit down with, with Puff Kids, the whole Puff situation, and this documentary that he's going to be.
When 50 Cent dropped his Netflix documentary centered on Sean Diddy Combs, many expected a clear, focused breakdown of Diddy's rise, power, and downfall. But the narrative didn't stay contained for long. Almost instantly, online chatter shifted attention toward Snoop Dogg, fueled by speculation that his silence meant more than it showed, with claims suggesting he was either avoiding the spotlight or shielded from it entirely. The conversation escalated as voices across social platforms began stretching remarks from Gene Deal and others, turning vague statements into bold accusations, backed loosely by recycled interviews, unclear clips, and questionable audio. As the noise intensified, curiosity turned into suspicion, with audiences dissecting every move, wondering what's being hidden, what 50 Cent might still reveal, and whether another major shakeup is on the horizon. But once you cut through the hype, the reality looks far less explosive, driven more by exaggeration and recycled narratives than solid, verified proof. In this breakdown, we cut straight to the truth, where these claims actually started, what was really said, what the documentary chose to show or leave out, how Snoop Dogg has addressed the situation, and what stands as fact, denial, or still remains unproven as the story continues to evolve.
Pick up this audio from Suge Knight. It's from his podcast with Dave Mays, and he's speaking on, Tupac and Snoop being cool, and how, after Tupac got killed, Snoop started hanging out with Diddy. And, he also speaks on how, Snoop, he did the Steve Harvey show with Diddy after Tupac got killed. Check this out.
Okay. It's down right now.
Then you look at the scenario how everybody used Pac to make their stuff famous or make their project better. You got people who use their songs for Pac and tell them how much they love Pac, but they do songs for Puffy. You got Steve Harvey, old bit that, this motherfucker telling, well, Pac, according to everybody else, he brings Snoop and Puffy on there and say, these the dudes who's running this in the East Coast, West Coast.
What's up, Snoop?
What's up, huh? Hey, whoa. Wait a minute, fellas here. Hold on. I know all about this East Coast, West Coast rivalry thing here, but we in Chicago now. This rivalry stuff, we gotta stop it, man. We stop that, we stop a lot of this violence.
Yo, Steve, check this, man. All that East Coast, West Coast stuff is a bunch of media hype. It's been my dog from day one, you know what I'm saying? It's all good between me and him. That's my people.
Real, that's what we came in for. We came in and light it up and ride it up. We never used your head.
Now, Pac, if you love Pac so much, how you with the motherfucker that everybody say got something to do with the first get down that happened to Pac in New York, then the second one.
What you think about Suge comments? And I never asked you this before, but did you have an issue with Snoop hanging out with Diddy after Tupac got killed?
I always felt that was wrong. I'm gonna just keep it real. I'm talking about from that, like now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm 46, Snoop probably early 50s. If he figured out now, he might go by the opinion that, okay, Puffy had nothing to do with Pac, we grown now. If he want to be his friend, no problem. But back then, that was just awkward. You know what I mean? And the reason why it was awkward to me that I never even like it because you knew how Pac felt about this individual. You know what I mean? Even if you don't agree with him, you probably could have said, you know what, I probably ain't gonna come out, publicly with this because until things clear up. So I really know I could be certain that, they didn't have nothing to do with Pac. But it's like, it was no, okay, it is what it is. So that I never really respected that back then.
So you had an issue with it. You didn't like it.
Never really liked it. It just was a strange look because you was Pac boy. You know what I mean? Puffy, it's clear they had some issues with Pac. and Pac died, and all of a sudden you chilling with Puffy. Back then, it just okay. Now you can say what you want. You go all grandfathers, I guess. You know what I mean? That's different now. But back then, I think it was weird. It was tasteless. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like you really had that much love for Pac. You could have just, you know what I mean? Unless he pressured them or like questioned Puffy, like, yo, what's up with this? What's up with that? Then you could say, you know what I mean? No.
Even with all the online noise, Snoop Dogg has never been named in any official case, court filing, or federal charge connected to Sean Diddy Combs, yet somehow, his name keeps getting pulled into the storm. The real reason is simple. His long-standing presence in the industry, moving among powerful figures during one of hip-hop's most intense eras, made him an easy target once speculation started building. After the documentary dropped, Gene Deal made comments suggesting that not everything was shown, and that single idea ignited a wave of theories that quickly spiraled out of control. Soon after, online narratives began pushing the angle that 50 Cent intentionally held back key details to avoid a larger fallout, and because Snoop is highly visible and widely connected, attention locked onto him fast. Old footage was pulled back into circulation, past interviews were twisted into something bigger, and unverified claims were repeated until they sounded convincing. But strip away the hype, and the truth stands firm. There's no verified evidence linking Snoop Dogg to any wrongdoing, only the fact that he was part of the same world at the same time. Nothing more.
Like, I believe somebody mentioned that they seen a video with me and the dude Prodigy, or one of the dudes from My Deep, as if I was with, they don't know the backdrop of that. I went to his hotel room ready to fight. Like, bro, I'll fight everybody in that room one-on-one. Even if I lose, it doesn't matter. The Outlaws was with me. My homie Tiny, the Mexican homie, was with me. I didn't go there and say, let me get in a video with these guys. I went there knocking on their door. Doom, doom, doom. Tell them dudes to come out. What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all and Pac? You got a problem with Pac? Because we could just fight like man to man, face to face, and then shake hands. That's why. That was my approach with them. But when they told me they didn't have no problem, I don't mind being with you. You know what I mean? I don't mind shaking your hand because they told me they had love for Pac. So that's different. You know what I mean? If he come out and say, well, I already, I questioned Puffy about it. I believe that he didn't, he loved Pac. That's my opinion. I can move the way I want to move. So when people try to, I noticed somebody, I think on your page do that. Well, Napoleon was in the video with Mobb Deep. They don't know how I got in that video with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? I pulled up on him and but I'm the type of person, I never been a bully type of person. You know what I mean? If I talk to a person like a man and they tell me face to face, look, I got love for Pac, I'm comfortable to know if I can look in their eyes, and if I believe what they said, I have the right to say, okay, no problem, I believe you. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what Snoop went through. I don't know. But let the people know, because it was too early back then. Pac just had died. You know what I mean? Like, he had the right to say, the reason why I'm rolling with Puffy, I questioned him about my homie. He gave me this answer. So then he did what he had to do. But it just, you know what I mean? I never really agree with that, to be honest. The same way I couldn't be on the stage with him. When they wanted to do that tribute, I just couldn't do it. Like, I really felt in my heart, like, man, I can't believe this.
This is where things start to go off track. When association gets mistaken for proof, facts get drowned out by suspicion, and the story drifts further away from reality, because in moments like this, the loudest voices are often the least reliable. Sean Combs. The reckoning was never meant to expose the entire industry. It stayed locked in on Sean Diddy Combs, breaking down his rise through Bad Boy Records, the power around him, and the systems that allowed his actions to continue for years. The film kept its focus sharp, putting alleged victim accounts first, examining patterns backed by records, and staying grounded in the legal process that led to his conviction and 50-month sentence. What it didn't do was throw out claims without evidence. It never pointed at Snoop Dogg or suggested any involvement in wrongdoing. The idea that 50 Cent held back information to protect him is still just speculation, not fact, and Curtis Jackson has made it clear that everything included was verified and legally solid. Nothing more, nothing less.
Diddy was doing a documentary thinking he was going to come out triumphant.
Yeah, I didn't know that's how this started, is he started filming himself and getting this footage because he thought he was going to beat everything. Okay,
Diddy
that makes sense. Okay.
Has a relationship.
Netflix. I knew that.
With
Ted Sarandis. I saw that. Yes. Okay.
And he's filming it there. But of course, when you get, obviously it wasn't a clean sweep on the prosecutor's side, but you're still going to prison.
Yeah.
He basically kind of scraps it. It's not also Netflix is saying, because they commissioned it, right? Netflix is saying, all right, cool, just turn over what you got, and what we'll do, we'll make it what it is, because we're just following reality. Diddy's like, well, hold on now. If I lost the case, I'm down to still do it with you, but I got to be able to control it. Now, you know, Diddy was probably going to kind of shape this doc to make it look like, hey, you know, this is malicious prosecution. They kind of went really hard at me. Mm-hmm. I'm not a perfect guy, but I am a good guy.
Yeah.
And Diddy was like, I need to be able to craft it. And Netflix was like, no, you're not. And he's like,
well, my question is, did he sign the footage over to Netflix so they own it? Mm-mm. Like, how were they able to do this without his?
No, but he didn't pay for it. So essentially, they're calling it a payment error. Oh. So essentially, the deal falls apart, or he's like, yeah, we're not going to do this.
So awkward.
And the people who did the work that have all this footage, they're like, so wait, you told us to film because this is going to be on Netflix. Now you're saying Netflix doesn't exist, and we're not getting paid because Diddy was going to pay with Netflix money. And Netflix realized this, and they went to the filmers and said, hey, give us the footage.
If anything, Sean Combs. The Reckoning showed restraint in a media landscape that thrives on shock, choosing precision over noise and only naming individuals when their involvement could be backed by records or credible testimony strong enough to hold up under scrutiny. That's exactly why claims about hidden footage continue to fall apart. No verified clips have surfaced, no court filings have ever mentioned Snoop Dogg, and no investigators have identified him as part of any inquiry tied to Sean Diddy Combs. In fact, the reality cuts in the opposite direction, with Snoop publicly showing support for 50 Cent after the release, openly aligning himself with Curtis Jackson and displaying no signs of tension at all. That kind of public backing doesn't match the narrative of fear or avoidance. Instead, it weakens it, exposing just how much of the story has been driven by speculation rather than anything real.
We're going to look at this through the prism of a modern-day rhetorical genius. A modern-day rhetorical genius. We're talking about the one, the great, the 50 Cent. All right. This guy's skill at rhetoric is absolutely next level. And this totally ties in with, you know, how he famously is a big fan of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, rhetoric with a capital R, I can just give you the definition of that. That's basically public speech, particularly public speech that is to persuade. Any persuasive public speech is rhetoric, right? Now, we kind of break that down into two subcategories of rhetoric with a lowercase r and dialectic. Rhetoric is essentially everything else, and really what moves the needle with like 97% of people and 100% of groups, okay, is in fact rhetoric with the lowercase r. So again, stuff like this, 50 Cent is an absolute master of. Basically, you know, he dropped this doc, this 50, this Sean Puffy Combs doc, and it's just kind of set the internet on fire. It's beating out Stranger Things. Like, it's a wild ride to watch, right? And one of the things that he does is he breaks down Diddy's character on Diddy's own terms.
A major claim comes from Courtney Burgess, who said he had flash drives tied to Kim Porter with sensitive content, but online chatter quickly ran with it, linking names like Snoop Dogg without real proof. Key facts get ignored. Kim Porter's children denied the material, and authorities never verified it. In legal terms, unproven content means nothing, and no confirmed evidence has ever connected Snoop Dogg to these claims. Instead, speculation took over, turning rumors into accepted stories without proof. The reality is simple. Unverified material isn't evidence, and as of December 2025, there's no sign Snoop Dogg has been questioned, investigated, or linked to any legal action.
Because he wanted them to, both Suge and Pac.
In the car?
They only Pac, and they don't Suge. So allegedly, they got paid $500,000. The $500,000 was paid to the guy on the right, all the way to the right. You see the guy on the right, Corey? He's the one allegedly that got the $500,000. And that money never went to Keefe D or anybody else. The guy on the left is the one that stole the chain, the chain, which was a Death Row Records chain. That's a way of saying I got your rapper's chain. Because if you were one of the guys, Death Row. So, long story short, this whole thing isn't recording that he said this. So, what does Diddy do? Rob, can you pull up this song? It's a song called Black Rob, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. If you can just type in lyrics, okay? So he gets $1 million. Can you go to the lyrics? And Diddy's in the lyrics when he gets started. Go a little bit lower. Can you type in the word in there, Rob? Nice guy. Type Control F, nice guy. Okay, right there. Look at it. It's 1999. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Been nice too long. I'm just going to start making y'all blank disappear. Man, first I'm going to take your records off the radio. Then I'm going to erase your social security number. Take your birth certificate out flies. I'm going to do your whole effing family. Ain't nothing but mercy. And then, by the way, in the lyrics, he says, I'll drop $1 million on your head to erase you. Can you type in, I'll drop $1 million, just put Control F. Just go to Google and type this out. I'll drop $1 million on your head. I'll drop $1 million on your head and just put Diddy next to it. Right there. See, it says Black Rob. What song came up?
Phrase.
I'll drop $1 million on your head. Erase you and your whole family, biatch.
Wow.
He's saying it in the song on what he did to get rid of Tupac.
What an idiot.
Suge Knight has repeatedly accused Snoop Dogg of betrayal, responsibility, and involvement in events around Tupac Shakur's death. But these claims are long-standing, resurfacing whenever the industry comes under renewed scrutiny, and none have ever been proven. Many of these statements were made from prison during high-profile interviews, gaining attention more for controversy than fact. Snoop Dogg has consistently denied every allegation, calling them false claims born from old rivalries and personal grudges. Crucially, despite decades of investigations into Tupac's death, law enforcement has never charged or named Snoop Dogg as a suspect, leaving the accusations unsubstantiated.
For being out there and allowing Misa to come out there to make money, however she was doing it, to feed her family. He vowed down that it's like, yo, I ain't never f***ing with her again, and I ain't never f***ing with him again. Puff and Suge had a conversation behind the House of Blues about was we all right, and Tupac was alive. Tupac wasn't dead. So if it was a war, Suge ain't having no conversation with Puff about we good. I know he could be doing the Hoboken hustle, trying to fool a brother. But had he killed my man or something like that, I wouldn't have no conversation with Puff. I'd been like, yo, you know what y'all niggas done? You know what happened? And it wasn't no conversation like that, brother. It wasn't no conversation whereas that, Suge made Puff feel like I'm gonna get you a payback for what happened to Jake. This was more so that Puff, for whatever reason, Suge, for whatever reason, he was mad at Puff. And Puff, for whatever reason he was mad at Suge, it was between them two. It wasn't no whole East Coast wanted the West Coast dead, and the West Coast wanted East Coast to dead, because they still was going out, still chilling, still at places with each other. It was Bad Boy, and it was Death Row. There was no East Coast and no West Coast. West Coast dudes were still coming out on the East Coast getting love. East Coast was still going out on the West Coast getting love. It was Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that's what it was, bro.
And it was because of the two CEOs. But Suge tried to straighten it out. I gotta get at the Suge. The Death Row East Coast, the Death Row East was going to bring in Eric B. It was going to bring in Big D. And those brothers was from the East Coast. So now, they was looking for a representative to come to the meeting from Bad Boy so they could straighten out the between Pac and Big and Death Row and Bad Boy. And Puff is the one who refused. Puff is the one to refuse to send a representative or either come himself. And got mad at Zip and them because they were in the Mirage on 57th Street partying with Suge Knight. Got mad at them. And Zip hung up the phone on behind that.
But what you mean by
online chatter often confuses repetition with proof, making unverified claims seem credible simply through constant exposure, even when they've never been substantiated. That psychological effect is powerful, and many content creators exploit it while ignoring critical context. The relationship between Suge Knight and Snoop Dogg fractured decades ago amid well-documented business disputes, personal conflicts, and public feuds, meaning accusations from that era deserve scrutiny, not automatic acceptance. Repeating these claims today doesn't make them stronger. It just adds to the noise.
So, I don't know where you get all the extras from when they had a conversation at the hospital and all that. That's absolutely not true. Say less, if you know what I mean. But instead of just saying less, since I've been in here, Snoop and other people been having people trying to bail the guy out, Keefy D, because he talking too much. Raising them trying to do stuff for Puffy because they say he talking too much. They even had somebody talk to me and say, hey, you can help him get free. I said, look, I don't have nothing to do with none of that, and I'm not leaving prison to go to nobody county jail. To the point they were saying, well, you can't leave and sacrifice a little bit in the county jail to stop that black man from getting life? Hell no. I ain't wishing bad on him at all, because I don't want to see nobody go to prison. And like I told you last time, as I find out more details about certain things, I probably would go to the Vegas County Jail if me and Keefy D with Sellies. We have a good conversation after I give him, six upside his head, another 6 in his body, and another 2. But yeah, that's different. It didn't happen with Snoop didn't go to the hospital. That's a lie.
A common online claim suggested that Snoop Dogg went silent after the documentary's release, but a quick look shows that story doesn't hold up. He continued posting regularly, commenting on music and business, and even publicly supporting 50 Cent. The idea that he disappeared comes from selective attention, ignoring anything that didn't fit the narrative. Snoop didn't release panic statements, deactivate accounts, or step back from public life. He stayed active, focused on his ventures, including Death Row Records, and simply chose not to engage with baseless rumors, proving there was no retreat or silence, only deliberate discretion.
Just got out the gym, doing my workout box. Suge, you right. History would repeat itself. Nigga, you wasn't the only nigga in the room, nigga. You wasn't by yourself. It was other people in the room too. I'm not gonna say no names because, like you said, we don't talk. So why you on here talking? Let that go, man. And as far as Snoop and Corrupt writing my album, you ask them niggas that. Them niggas ain't wrote my album. Corrupt helped me with Do You See? Snoop helped me with This DJ. Other than that, everything else I wrote. So that's where you wrong at again. And as far as the tough guy, do you recall when we was at the World Club and it said Death Row and NWA? Who fired on that? Me. When you was at the Comedy Store fighting that little buff ass at the comedy store. Who saved your motherfucking ass? Me and C-Style. So what have I done to you? For you to launch out at me? Look, don't get mad at me, man. I ain't never done nothing to you. I wasn't signed to you. So
the difference between Snoop Dogg and Sean Diddy Combs isn't about popularity, it's about evidence. Diddy's conviction came after years of investigations, testimony, and legal findings, while Snoop's name has only been dragged into the conversation through association and speculation. As of December 2025, federal records show no charges, no indictments, and no active cases involving Snoop Dogg. That distinction is critical. In a time when powerful figures face accountability, the absence of legal action doesn't signal protection. It signals a lack of proof. The industry may be under pressure, but not everyone caught in the fallout is guilty, and blurring the line between rumor and reality only weakens the truth when it matters most.
In a documentary, there's a couple things I'll share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day.
Perhaps. Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean it's not true. Of course. But they relied on stolen footage, okay, is what they relied on. And then they ask about the history of 50 and him, issue that they've had. What's the one you just pulled up, Rob?
This is where they talk about the feud, and then I also have 50 Cent talking about Diddy's reaction to the documentary.
Yeah, that's so funny. That is so funny. But watch this one here. Go ahead, Rob.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, so that's that part, right? The fact that the feud with the two of them, hey, let me take you shopping. Like, you say that to a girl in 50s, like, what are you talking about? Take me shopping. How do you ever flip a mind? You want to take me shopping? And then last but not least, Rob, the other clip you have of 50 is talking about how he thinks Diddy's going to like this documentary. Go ahead, Rob.
Sean Combs watches this. What do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
She can't even hold it.
Because you'll see people saying that. I mean, he may feel a different way about pieces and bits of it, but he knows the truth. I think he'll see the truth.
Right now, Snoop Dogg is caught in one of the internet's most familiar cycles. Uncertainty twisted into accusation, old conflicts treated as proof, and speculation amplified into fear. Strip away the dramatic headlines and reaction clips, and the reality is simple: no verified footage, no charges, no disappearance. This isn't a story of Snoop panicking. It's a case study in how quickly narratives form when a powerful figure falls and anyone nearby gets pulled in by association. As the fallout from Sean Diddy Combs continues and new information emerges, the key question isn't who the internet will target next. It's whether facts will be allowed to outweigh rumors. Will truth rise above speculation, or will assumptions continue deciding guilt before evidence even has a chance? Stay informed, stay grounded, and keep watching the story unfold.